Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy was developed by Eidos Montreal and published by Square Enix, the European side of Square Enix, and it follows the story of Peter Quill, Rocket, Groot, Drax the Destroyer, and Gamora, adopted daughter of Thanos. And it's Guardians of the Galaxy. It's everything you'd want from a game. Now, there is many positives to this game, which I will definitely praise. However, there is one major flaw with the game, which I'll talk about afterwards. Let me get the good stuff out the way, and then I shall talk about the bad stuff. Now, this game is available on everything, every console and PC, but with Nintendo Switch, you have to stream it, so do that at your own peril. I don't recommend doing it, but you can if you want to. Now, the footage I'm capturing is off of PC, and the game looks fantastic from the get-go. Now, the story does follow the Guardians of the Galaxy after they enter a quarantine zone to retrieve a monster, Tassau. They get collared by the Nova Corps, and Peter manages via connections to just get them a fine. So they set out to get the credits to pay the fine, and then they get embroiled in some sort of cult. So that's all I will say. I don't want to spoil too much because the story is actually very good, and the major highlight of Guardians of the Galaxy, besides its beautiful visuals, is the character, the way the characters interact with one another. It does feel like the comics, it feels like the films as well. This, in my opinion, actually is better than both Guardians of the Galaxy films in terms of story and characters, especially the dynamic between Peter and Rocket, where they are they're constantly butting heads all the time. And you've got Drax just being Drax, basically. Groot is always Groot, and Gamora's just sort of there. She's quite new to the troupe, but this is following on more from the comic book iteration of Guardians of the Galaxy. It's nothing to do with the movies whatsoever, so just bear that one in mind. Now, all the locations are fantastic. There are so many characters that you get to see, including Cosmo, the psychic dog. You get to see him as well, and like locations like Nowhere, and like Xandar is mentioned, and all that cool stuff. So if you know your Marvel stuff, you'll be, you will love all the little Easter eggs and stuff they put in. There are many costumes to unlock for each and every character, and each and every character can be upgraded with new attacks. Peter Quill is the main one, as you can only play as Peter, unfortunately, but you can give commands to the other Guardians to perform special abilities, and you can build up a special meter to be able to, like, you rally in your troops, and you've got to inspire them, and then you can all, you get extra life and do extra damage and stuff, and it plays a cool song. Now, the music on this game is phenomenal. The soundtrack is fantastic, and there's a lot of 80s hard rock and metal, which that is my jam right there, and I absolutely loved listening to it whilst playing. But yeah, there's a lot of positives. Like I said, the soundtrack, the graphics, the characters, the story, the locations, that's all fine. However, the major detriment to this game, unfortunately, is the gameplay, which is not what you want from a video game. The game does feel very limited in that it's linear. You can't go from planet to planet and explore. Now, I think this game, personally, in my opinion, would have been better suited to being like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, where you could have the Milano and you could choose these different locations, 4 or 5 different planets where the story revolves around, and you could have side quests to be Guardians of the Galaxy, rescuing people, retrieving something, taking out enemy outposts, that kind of stuff, just more stuff to do with these characters. And hopefully there's a sequel, and hopefully they expand upon it. But this does feel very Sony. That makes sense. It's not a Sony game, but it feels very Sony. It's over the shoulder. It's story driven. It is more on the side of an interactive movie. The combat's fine. It can be fun, especially once you unlock a few extra attacks and moves for Peter Quill, and being able, like Star-Lord, being able to use your jet boots and all that kind of stuff, and you unlock different elemental attacks with his guns. But the combat can be quite repetitive. The exploration, you can't sprint as Peter, you have to just do this jog thing, and you just jog around. The only things really to find besides costumes for characters is these different supplies that or crafting materials effectively that you can use to upgrade your bits at set craft tables that a rocket will craft for you. And that's it really. You got what is really cool in the overworld though is you use the different characters for the different abilities. Rocket is obviously very good with technology, so he can get and he can fit in small places being a raccoon, although he'll tell you he's not a raccoon, so he can go and fix bits, open doors and stuff. Groot can build a bridge out of his vines. Drax can lift heavy things, and you just ask him to put the heavy thing down where you want it. And Gamora can cut things and attach herself to walls and be used as an alley-oop grapple thing, so she can get you up to higher places. There's not much exploration, but it is there if you want it. But if you're fancying a story-driven game, this is a fantastic game. I did give it a little go on the Xbox on the Game Pass, and I did find it very limited, and I thought, is this what everybody was kicking and screaming about? But it went really, really cheap on PC. I thought, why not? I'll do it for YouTube purposes, and I played it, and I think it's really good. I really like it. I will go through it again one day on a harder difficulty and try and 100% it. But I do hope for the sequel, if there's a sequel, they expand upon it and make it a little bit more open, and for you to be able to explore the galaxy or a section of the galaxy at your own accord, and just be a bit more friendly that way. You can walk around the Milano and see everybody's different rooms and stuff, which is pretty cool, but yeah, it's not the best game, but it's the best Guardians game. But thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.
Sorcery. So cold.
Rocket! Somebody get him out of there!